I'd like to call this meeting of the Festus City Council to order. Roll call, please.
Councilman Boyer,
Here.
Councilman Underwood, Councilwoman Templeton. Here. Councilman Weiner,
Here.
Councilman Dennis,
Here.
Councilman Vins,
Here.
Councilman Cook,
Present.
Councilman Tennant.
We have a quorum. Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. Tonight's bills total $128,077.73.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call, please.
Councilman Cook,
Yes.
Councilwoman Templeton,
Yes.
Councilman Boyer,
Yes.
Councilman Underwood,
Yes.
Councilman Weiner,
Yes.
Councilman Dennis,
Yes.
Councilman Vins,
Yes.
Councilman Tennant.
Yes. Motion passes. Consent agenda is approved. Remarks of visitors.
We received none.
Gentlemen, in a special session of the city council and ma'am, throw something at me, Stacy. We voted and we now need to confirm an open session. And I will nominate Travis Wood to be the fire chief for the Festus Fire Department. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call, please.
Councilman Boyer,
Yes.
Councilman Tennant,
Yes.
Councilman Underwood,
Yes.
Councilwoman Templeton,
Yes.
Councilman Weiner,
Yes.
Councilman Dennis,
Yes.
Councilman Cook,
Yes.
Councilman Vins.
Yes.
It is confirmed. Travis Wood is appointed fire chief. With your official chief's hat. Congratulations. We're quite proud of you.
Oh, yeah. You want to get a picture with the family?
Oh, yeah. Oh, boy.
All of you. You got it? Yeah. You go ahead.
Go ahead. Next order of business is bids. We have two bids tonight. What's that? We have one one bid tonight for purchase of brooms for the street sweeper. Staff report.
Thank you for waiting on me, Mr. Mayor. Members of the City Council, before you this evening, you have contemplated the purchase of replacement brooms for our street sweeper. These brooms will last us approximately 12 months. It's a wear item. It's pretty normal. These are replaced. So I appreciate your guys' support and approving this bid request.
I'd just like to make a comment about the street sweepers.
Certainly.
So I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and it's not like a necessary given that a city has a street sweeper. And, it's another reason that Festus is nice and clean and, has a nice appearance. So I think it makes a big difference in us having the ability to keep our streets clean like that.
Thank you.
Hey, Matt, where'd that come in under bid wise? Are we under the bid?
This is a sole source. Unfortunately, it's unique to the manufacturer.
Okay,
It was 25,000 was budgeted and the bid came in at 11,060. So
oh, buy two.
I'm sorry. I misunderstood what your question was.
Remember my level, keep it simple.
The bid was from Red Equipment LLC for $11,060.
I'll make the motion that we buy the street
The brooms.
sweeper broom.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Roll call, please.
Councilman Tinnen,
Yes.
Councilman Cook,
Yep.
Councilman Benz,
Yes.
Councilman Dennis,
Yes.
Councilman Weiner,
Yes.
Councilwoman Templeton,
Yes.
Councilman Boyer,
Yes.
Councilman Underwood.
Yes.
Motion passes. We'll need to get those brooms.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
We have any ordinances or resolutions?
no, sir.
New business. We have an appointment to the library board. I have a recommendation from the head of the library, Elizabeth. And they recommend Vicky Grimminger. Is that correct, Mary? Vicky Grimminger to the library board. And I'll make that post.
I'll make the motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion carries. Vicky Grimminger is appointed. Special event request. Show Me Snakes LLC. We have a report.
Mr. Mayor, what you have here, Mayor and City Council, is from Show Me Snakes, submitted to be able to have a special event coming up at the Quality Inn later this month. It does require a special permit. As you know, when we do these, like with poultry permits as well, folks want to have chickens on their property, they require a permit from the mayor and city council. It is a 2-day show. And I guess the concern that we have, or at least want to raise as you consider this, is under our code, a resident of Festus cannot house, own, or harbor an animal that's defined as exotic. And that would also include any potentially dangerous or poisonous reptiles. So Brian Malone and I have talked a little bit about this. There's no specific prohibition with the council wanting to grant a special permit for them to have the show. The concern, of course, is that if there was a resident of Festus that would purchase an animal or a reptile or an arachnid that is defined as exotic, they would then be in violation of city code. So I think there needs to be some consideration given that since they're permitting the sale of these exotic species at the event, any Festus resident that were to purchase one would be in violation of our code. So there, if we're going to grant the special permit, there needs to be a method with which to prohibit sale to city residents.
Would we post something at that show saying,
It would be incumbent upon if you're going to grant the special permit, it would be incumbent, I think, on Show Me, on the folks, the Show Me Snakes LLC.
well, I mean, if it's just a special thing to sell, it's not, I don't see that much of a problem, but we have to have something in signed or for people, so someone from inside the city limits knows better than to buy one. I mean, because you don't want to stop a sale, tax, whatever we get out of it from somebody else coming here buying it, but we just got to make sure you cannot buy or purchase and live in the city limits with it. I don't know if there's some kind of signing or we have to tell that company to make sure they.
Did you mean you put something up for everybody to see?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we can put something up there to make sure they understand.
That could be a condition of the permit.
It's a trick bag though. Think about it.
Yeah.
We're creating, we have the potential of creating a code nightmare by selling something that's not legal in the city limits. And at least from my ward, I've never had one citizen ask me to look at this ordinance. I'd be more than happy to, because most of you guys are been in the military. We're not all about big government, but how many times has any of our citizens ever said, would you review your exotic animal code? I've never had. So I would feel horrible letting something in the city limits be sold while we're setting our citizens up for a possible failure, because they're only going to know what they know by our education. And to trust a sign with some of these, and correct me if I'm wrong, we're talking exotic, they can be poisonous.
Part of the definition of exotic, well, I'll read the entire definition in our code. Potentially dangerous carnivores, including but not limited to lion, tiger, leopard, cheetah, ocelot, mountain lion, bobcat, bear, wolf, and coyote. The term here shall also include any other potentially dangerous or poisonous reptile or any other exotic animal declared dangerous by authorized health department or code enforcement officials. Provisions of this section shall not apply to a properly maintained circus or event for entertainment purposes. So showing them, certainly with a special permit from council, is more than allowed if it's being done as an event for entertainment purposes. The concern, of course, is Show Me Snakes LLC doesn't just display. The people that will be at the event are selling. And I would point out page 17 in your packet does have a keeper agreement that the purchaser is going to sign. And it does say that they are going to have knowledge of city, county, state, and federal laws regarding the species. So there's a release that at least covers Show Me Snakes, that that person is going to be in compliance with our city code. But again, it turns into kind of an enforceability issue more than anything else.
Well,
Right.
Chief Lewis, what happens when things get out? What if I buy a poisonous snake?
That's
Chief
animal
Woods,
patrol. That would be our animal patrol.
But they wouldn't respond as
Oh, sure.
assistants? We only have one animal patrol officer, right?
Correct.
So if I call 911 and say my poisonous snake got out, are you responding? Is our police responding?
First call is probably say get animal control, because we don't have anything to
Right.
corral the poison snake.
Okay.
They have rules and they have this, probably call the fire department too, bring the water hose. No, seriously, to pull it somewhere.
Yeah, I just think we're better off to review the ordinance first. And if there's a big demand, then let's let our citizens tell us. Instead of having an ordinance that prohibits this, but then allow the sale to take place. I think we're setting ourselves up for a headache.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing too, I see, Greg, I was reading over their rules and it said no sick animals. Who's going to enforce that or say they're not? No, only legally sourced animals. So how do we know that that's being abided by? I just see too many things that I don't know about. Not to mention, if one of these poisonous snakes bites someone, that could create an EMS extreme emergency. Because I don't know where the anti-venom is. I don't know what kind of snakes they have. And there's just too many things that I think are dangerous. And if you don't allow them in the city, I don't see how we can allow anyone to sell them in this city. You know what I'm saying? So just by allowing them to be there for sale is kind of setting us up for failure, I believe. Unless I'm not looking at this right, but this doesn't look like a good idea to me.
Yeah,
Like I said.
It is a mixed feeling of you hate to, but on the other hand, I don't want to be. Yeah.
Well, but also if we allow it, I mean, there's multiple people that are selling. So you're not going to have a centralized place that's going to go through for every single sale that they do. This whole page talks venomous, 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 venomous. I mean,
Right.
a lot from people that are there. I don't have a problem with venomous snakes, I guess, but we don't allow them in the city limits. So in a way, it's almost like we're promoting something that is against our own statute, our own code. So
Right.
Why encourage it?
I think at the end of the day, Brian, thanks to Alexandra in your office for putting together a very nice breakdown on this event. I don't know if you have anything that you'd like to add. I think if we're going to authorize the special permit for them to be able to have their event, it would need to have a number of contingencies attached to it.
Sure. I think you guys have hit on the crux or the cruxes of the issue here. I don't see that the city is prohibited from approving the permit by virtue of its ordinance. If you think through that, there's going to be animals and reptiles displayed, not just offered for sale, as I understand it, and potentially sellers from outside the city limits who, if they purchase one and they take it to their house outside city limits, arguably they haven't owned or harbored it. However, there is the very real concern about how the city's ordinance can be enforced, and whether the vendors can be relied upon to only sell permitted animals to only residents in city limits. That's an awful lot of responsibility to place on the vendor, and it does create some real concerns about whether it's going to result in the sale of a prohibited animal to a resident of the city.
Can they fight it if we turn it down because it's something they're allowed to do?
As long as, I think the important thing is to be consistent. You can't be arbitrary. This is the first time, to my knowledge, that something like this has come up. It was brought to our attention by Jason, our animal control officer. So as long as, there's a reasonable amount of consideration and you're reasonably complying with the code, asking for something here that potentially sets up an unlawful situation where, again, as we've touched on, we're essentially having a resident buy the purchase of one of these exotic animals would, the second they set foot in their house, would be in violation of the code.
Right, but if we turn this down tonight,
No.
can they fight it saying they should be allowed to do it?
Yeah, our decision shouldn't be based upon that. Our decision should be based on
Right.
our ordinances. I don't even consider that an option. I just think this is a trick bag, and I'm
Yeah,
not.
public safety is a huge one.
I was trying to stop a court things from them fighting it.
Well,
I don't, again, as long as it's, obviously this discussion, you have the information from Show Me Snakes in front of you. I've shared with you the code, the definition of exotic. And it's our belief that unless there are a number of restrictions attached to the permit, and then you run into an issue as far as posting and enforcement, it would make a very busy Saturday or Sunday for Jason. Not to say that he wouldn't do if we asked him, but if you're dealing with a larger event, we can't expect him to check everybody coming in and coming out. So I think it becomes particularly burdensome, overly burdensome, if we did grant the permit in a way that still tried to make sure that residents were not going to be purchasing one of these exotic animals.
So mainly your recommendation is not to, you and
I think you're opening yourself up to a lot more problems by approving it with restrictions, which I think is the only way you can do it, as opposed to just denying the application in its entirety.
So Greg, you said something, so were they just gonna have this show and we just happened to catch it, that they didn't have a permit for it?
Jason brought it to my attention. I don't know exactly how that all transpired. But once it was brought to my attention, it was something that we then reached out to Show Me Snakes to let them know that it does require a special permit from council. Additionally, we did, of course, have conversations, Brian Malone and I, related to this. And I think at the end of the day, where we find ourselves at is, again, you grant the permit, but it's with a lot of conditions attached to it. Or you simply just deny the permit, because it only takes one resident to unknowingly purchase an exotic animal, and then they find that they're in they find that they're in violation of city code.
Yeah.
Is there any other discussion? Hearing none? Yes. Yes. Yes.
Good evening, council. My name is Mickey Meyer. I'm the owner of Show Me Snakes LLC. We do about 200 of these events across the country every year. We have a situation similar to this in Greenville, South Carolina, where the city has an ordinance against venomous snakes in the city limits. We prohibit the sales to those. Every person that purchases an animal is ID'd at the show, and they are denied sale if they live in the city limits. So, and we don't have any issues with following any of your guys' guidelines. Sorry, I got a little bit of cold, but we would really love to have it here in Festus. It's a nice little city, so.
All righty. Thank you, sir. Is there any other discussion? At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the special permit.
Permit would fail or not be granted on the lack of a motion, second and vote.
The permit would fail, a lack of a motion, a second, and a vote. Therefore, we will not have an event here in the city of Festus. Old business.
None.
Well, let's get to our reports. Councilman Underwood. Councilwoman Templeton.
I was asked by a resident who's in charge of the dead trees along some of the roads. There's some on North Mill Scenic. There's some along the interstate, West Main, or Main before you hit the overpass or over the highway. Just the dead stuff that's laying all over the place.
If it's the one I'm thinking about on West Main, North Mill, especially as you go over the overpass, that is a MoDOT tree on right away, the one that crashed the fence. And MoDOT is aware of the tree and the need. Now, we did try to clear any of the brush that did encroach over the fence. But that one is one where they're responsible for removing it. And they just haven't gotten to it yet. I know they're terribly understaffed right now. But if you have some specific locations, feel free.
The ones by the retaining wall on scenic past 9th.
Okay.
Sticking. There's just a
Oh,
piece
on
of
the
it
left.
that's, yeah.
On the
There's
west
just a piece
side.
of it that's still sticking over. So I had somebody ask me if there's a way they can just cut it back a little bit further.
Sounds like a job for Dave Vaughn.
Yes.
Part timer.
Welcome to you. Okay, we will, we'll get an eye on them and make sure that we can get them cleared.
Thank you.
Anything else? Councilman Vance,
Nothing today, sir.
Councilman Tenon,
I just wanted to welcome our new fire chief, Travis Wood, right? Yes. Congratulations. Thank you, sir. Sorry.
thank you. Councilman Boyer,
Yeah, I wanted to congratulate Travis on his new position as fire chief and continue to get a few calls on our potholes and stuff in the city, especially on the concrete areas. And I said, well, we're working on it. It just takes time. But anyway, I wanted to bring that up again to your attention. That's all I have.
thank you. Councilman Weiner,
Congratulations, Travis. That's all I have, sir.
thank you. Councilman Dennis,
Yeah, I'd like to congratulate Travis on his position of fire chief, and hopefully we can now move forward with the loss of our chief and take the fire department to our next level. So I hope we can all get behind him and take us to the next step. So congratulations.
Thanks, sir.
is that all you have, Kevin?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All righty. Councilman Cook,
Same thing. Congratulations, Travis. You get to sit by me for the next year. So it's going to be entertaining. And to Brian and Greg, thanks for doing the research on that exotic animal. I just felt like that's a huge trick bag to put the city in and put our residents in. I'm not opposed to looking at it, the ordinance later on. I just thought it didn't make sense to pass it if we don't allow it to be kept by city residents. So thank you. That's all I have, sir.
thank you. We have had an interesting time over the last couple, 3 weeks. Did I get everybody?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm having a senior moment.
Okay. We've had an interesting time. Things go on in the last couple months. We've managed to get through it. Congratulations to you all for doing your jobs. Travis, congratulations. I think we're doing better with COVID. Of course, the cases are down. We still have to be careful, but the cases are down, and I think we may be able to cross that hump as far as COVID is concerned. And the only thing I'm going to finish with, baseball is back. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, motion carries. This meeting is adjourned.
And hockey season